News over the weekend was over the weekend or early last week was Morrissey, some celebrity vegan, was having a bit of a crack at Barnaby Joyce and wrote a letter and added in the letter, "If meat is murder, live export is the slow boat to hell." Now, not saying that there's anything right with live export. There's quite a number of things wrong with live export. From an animal rights point of view, and being for animals being given equal consideration, live export is inherently something that we shouldn't be doing. Though these comments from Morrissey is that he pretty much has just shown you what's wrong with these celebrity vegans and people that jump on this little topical messages. Because when you have a look at things, live export is no different to domestic export. Animals are still transported; they're still in appalling conditions. Locally transported. They're left on trucks. They're left on rail, big train carriages, and things like that. And that's the thing, is that there's no difference between the two. And to say, oh well, live export's more crueler. Well, really, are you going to have varying levels of cruelty opposed on things? Oh, okay. Well, let's say live export's a 7 on the cruelty scale, whereas domestic slaughter is only probably a 5 or a 6. Okay, so you're saying domestic slaughter is good? Oh no. Well, that's the thing. It is either wrong for one reason and completely wrong for every other reason, or it's you can't say one's worse than the other, because they're both just as bad when you have a look at it. An animal is bred for slaughter, an animal is transported for slaughter, an animal is transported to a place where they're slaughtered, and the whole practice of slaughtering. So and for people to turn around and say, oh, the way they're killed overseas is barbaric and inhumane and all that sort of stuff. Have you seen some of the footage from local slaughterhouses? Have you seen the exposés of those ones where they're classed as the bad apple and things like that? It's it's just the thing. It's either wrong or it's wrong. You can't just say, oh, that's worse than that, because two wrongs don't make a right. So anyway, the other thing we need to remember too is Australia isn't the only country involved in the live export trade. There are other countries as well. Now, I'm not going to play the game that Australia's got better standards and all that, because as far as I'm concerned is that we shouldn't be doing it, full stop. The other thing we shouldn't be doing is we shouldn't be raising animals for consumption. So this is the thing. It's all well and good for Morrissey to get out and do it on behalf of PETA, and there's so many questions to be said about questionable antics by the organisation PETA. But there's no alternatives. There's no there's nothing there to, okay, so hey, let's say we stop live export here. Okay, how are these families going to survive? And this is the thing, to a certain extent. Barnaby Joyce does have a good, he does have a valid argument, because he's trying to provide an income, or more worried about having these families have an income and things like that. So until you present an option for those farmers that are raising animals for live export, then you're just as bad. You're just as much of a problem as opposed to being the solution. Because just to say, oh, ban live export, well, okay, what happens? What happens to the animals that are being grazed now for live export? What happens to them? Who's going to take responsibility for them? What happens to the farmers when they can't sell the animals that they raised? Are you going to provide for them? Are you going to give them an alternative source of income? Still a nice warm day today, and actually starting to get a bit of a breeze now. You probably may hear the chimes in the background. We're going through a bit of a butterfly thingy at the moment in Brisbane. A thingy. There's butterflies popping up left, right and centre. I think there's some monarch butterflies floating around there. There's been other ones for whatever they are. and all that sort of stuff. So I was just saying, yes, if you're going to say ban live export, create something, create a use for their land, and create a use that will give them the money that they need. And this is what it is that, are we going to rely on welfare? Are we going to turn around and say, like, Vegan Australia did with their whole skewed thing for veganising Australia in 20 years? Well, it's all just theoretical stuff on paper. But it's the thing is that you can do it. You could veganise Australia in 20 years, though to do that, there would be a substantial cost to government. Would they be able to support it in the short term? I doubt it, because all governments are crying poor at the moment. No government's got any money for anything, which is why they're cutting money back and cutting services back left, right and centre and all that sort of stuff. So, this is the thing. Don't target and jump up and down and say, live exports this and live export that. And the other thing about Morrissey too is, from what I understand, and I could be, please feel free to correct me, is that he only, literally identified himself as vegan. I think, what was the last year, 2015? Every other period before that, he always identified himself as vegetarian. So, for someone that's supposedly been such a passionate animal rights activist for who knows how long, to all of a sudden jump on the the ban live export bandwagon, when it's a huge problem with itself. So anyway, my thoughts on that. I'm not a big fan of Barnaby Joyce, and then again, I'm not a big fan of many or any politicians. I think the whole ban live export is it's a rather ignorant thing to say, because you ban live export. What are you going to do to help those animals now, those animals that are on the farms already, those farmers who are on the farms and the families? Because this is the thing, is that sadly, as much as it is that there's people do get an income from that. So unless the alternative is to keep reducing their income, well, you're becoming species by saying, oh, well, no, these animals can't be killed. Who cares what the farmer does? It's all just one of those little round and round in circles things. Excuse me for a minute. Too much waffling and all that sort of stuff. So, anyway, what else? I think that was about it for this one. So I'll probably have more to say on this later on. So yeah, anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching. Remember, don't fear the vegan police. We're here to help. And once again, I've forgotten to turn my remote on. I sit here playing with it, going click, 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 and forget to turn it on. Okay, so bye.